Chosen One, this message didn't find you by accident. This is divine timing in full effect. There are no coincidences here. God guided you to this moment for a reason. Because there's a truth your spirit is finally ready to receive. What if I told you the very force sent to destroy you now desires you? That the weapon forged in darkness, the spirit meant to break you, now trembles at your presence, not out of fear, but out of fascination. This isn't fantasy, this is spiritual reality. You were targeted because of your calling. Sentences were spoken in secret realms against your life. Energy was conjured to silence your voice. A spiritual hit was ordered against your peace, your purpose, your future. But something happened that no one expected. The light in you, your divine essence, your spiritual purity, didn't just resist the darkness, it captivated it. A demon sent to kill you fell under your vibration, not because you're weak, but because your light was stronger than the mission. This message is for those who feel the heat of spiritual warfare, but also sense the shift. Something that once tried to choke you now follows you, watches you, studies you. Let's break this down into 7 chapters so you can see just how deep and real this is. Before we begin, take a moment to like, share and subscribe, because this message is for the chosen ones who are targeted, attacked and spiritually hunted, yet still walk in light, still stand in truth and still rise with purpose. If this message stirs something deep in your spirit, drop the number 77 in the comments. It's more than a number. It's a divine confirmation that what was sent to destroy you now bows to the light within you. Only the truly chosen will stay until the end, and those who do will gain insight, strength, and the revelation they've been feeling but couldn't yet explain. Truth unfolds with every listen, so return to this message whenever your soul needs reminding. Each time, another layer of your power will rise. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Why you were targeted. Chosen One, let's be real. Your battles didn't start because you were doing something wrong. They didn't start when you failed, slipped, or made a mistake. They started the moment you awakened, the moment you started walking in purpose, the moment you refused to shrink, water yourself down, or play small to make others comfortable. Your presence started exposing things that others had hidden for years. You shine without trying. You love without pretending. You speak truth without needing a stage. And that kind of authenticity, it makes people uncomfortable. Not because you're wrong, but because you remind them of everything they've buried from childhood. You may have felt it, the weight, the tension, the unspoken resentment. You were the one they picked on, the one they isolated, the one they misunderstood. And yet, you were also the one people secretly admired, copied, and watched from afar. Why? Because you carry something sacred, something real, something eternal. It's not just charisma or talent. It's a divine frequency that shakes every counterfeit structure. Your energy confronts falsehood. Your very being calls people higher. You were never ordinary, and that's exactly why you've been under attack. The enemy doesn't waste bullets on blanks. You were targeted because you're loaded with destiny. You're a threat to lies, to strongholds, to generational patterns that needed to be broken. Your calling has weight, your voice has authority, your steps are ordered, and hell knows it. That's why the attacks weren't just personal, they were strategic. It wasn't just about hurting your feelings, it was about silencing your voice before it could reach the ones assigned to your light. It was about crushing your confidence before you realized the power in your identity. It was about exhausting you before you could step into your assignment. But guess what? It didn't work. Because even when they doubted you, you kept rising. Even when they lied on you, you kept walking. Even when the pressure felt unbearable, you kept showing up. That's what makes you dangerous. You didn't fold, you didn't conform, you didn't sell out. You've got a light that's too rare to be hidden, too powerful to be dimmed, and too necessary to be ignored. The reason you were targeted wasn't because of your weakness. It was because of your potential. They sensed what was inside you before you even knew it was there. And the ones who couldn't handle your light, they tried to sabotage it. But they didn't realize you weren't just chosen to survive. You were chosen to disrupt, to lead, and to liberate. So now, every attack, every lie, every betrayal, it only sharpened your awareness. It only deepened your strength. It only proved what you were really made of. ChosenOne, never doubt this truth. You were targeted because you carry what can't be faked, replicated, or silenced. You are the evidence that the light still lives. And that's exactly what darkness fears the most. Chapter 2. The assignment against you was real. This isn't just metaphorical. This isn't imagination. This was spiritual warfare in broad daylight, disguised as real-life circumstances, real people, and real pain. Some of you didn't just have a rough season. You barely made it out alive. You survived mental attacks so dark they almost convinced you were the problem. You endured emotional sabotage so calculated it drained your energy and made you question your own intuition. You lost things you never saw coming. People vanished, opportunities disappeared, support systems crumbled, and it all felt strategic, like someone or something was pulling strings behind the scenes. Because they were. You were under attack, not by chance, but by assignment. There were entities, dark forces, ancient spirits who saw your light before you did. They detected your calling, your potential, your purpose, and they panicked. They couldn't afford to let you wake up to who you really are. So they moved early. They targeted you when you were still vulnerable, still figuring it out. They knew once you rose, once you healed, once you accepted your anointing, it would be too late to stop you. So yes, demons were sent, but not with knives or flames. They came with anxiety, with depression, with confusion. They came for your peace of mind. They came to silence your voice. They came to twist your perception and drown you in self-doubt. They used people you trusted as pawns. Relationships were weaponized. Conversations became battlegrounds. Doors you prayed for were slammed shut. Not because you weren't ready, but because the enemy was trying to convince you weren't worthy. You were meant to collapse. You were meant to give up. The plot was designed to destroy your spirit, to make you forfeit your future before it even began. But what they didn't calculate, what they never saw coming, was the anointing on your life. The enemy made a grave mistake, because even though the attacks were real and the pain was deep, you didn't break. You may have bent, you may have cried, you may have lost sleep and questioned everything, but you kept going. The weapons were formed, but they didn't prosper. Why? Because God had already stamped your survival into eternity. Your destiny was declared before the foundation of the world. No demon could override it. No betrayal could cancel it. You were chosen, and chosen people are covered. This wasn't punishment. This was preparation. This wasn't the end. It was the setup. The assignment against you was real. But so is the authority you now carry because you survived it. Chapter 3. Your light broke the system. When the dark force got close to you, something unexpected happened. You didn't fold. You didn't crumble under the weight of the pressure. You didn't bow to the storm. You didn't let the fire consume you. Instead, you elevated. You went inward. You got quiet. You got still. You started praying like your life depended on it, because it did. You started listening more than talking. You stopped reacting and started discerning. You weren't losing your mind. You were finding your power. The demon that came to devour you was ready for weakness. It was prepared for fear. It was counting on your wounds to do the work for it. But it never expected to encounter someone like you. Someone built differently. Someone who could love while being hated. Someone who could stand tall while being stabbed in the back. Someone who could weep and still worship. Someone who could forgive when betrayal was fresh, and still hold on to grace when all signs said to retaliate. It came to destroy you, but it ended up studying you, because something about you disrupted its programming. Your resilience didn't make sense. Your glow didn't fade, it intensified. Your peace didn't disappear, it expanded. The more it pressed, the more you prayed. The more it whispered lies, the more you stood on truth. You weren't supposed to survive that heartbreak. You weren't supposed to recover from that rejection. You weren't supposed to find clarity in the chaos, but you did. And that's when something shifted. The very force that was assigned to break you started glitching. The system began to malfunction. What once worked on others, fear, shame, manipulation, didn't work on you. You broke the pattern. You shattered the mold. Your light exposed everything around you. Fake friends fell off. Hidden enemies got uncomfortable. Environments you used to shrink in could no longer contain you. You didn't just walk through darkness, you transformed it by walking in with divine light. See, systems of darkness are built on predictability. They thrive on cycles. But you are an anomaly. You don't move in fear. You don't speak from ego. You operate from spirit. That's what broke it. That's what threw off the algorithm. That's what collapsed the plan from the inside out. You weren't just resisting darkness. You were reversing it. Your light rewrote the narrative. It sent a signal to heaven and a warning to hell. This one is different. This one won't fold. This one carries authority. You didn't conform to the system. You exposed it. And once it was exposed, it couldn't operate in the same way. You were never the victim. You were always the breaker of chains, the disruptor, the one who walks into spiritual warfare and shifts the atmosphere just by existing. Your presence wasn't just noticed, it was felt. Your survival wasn't just a win. It was a warning to every force that thought it could stop what God started. Your light broke the system, and now nothing can go back to the way it was. Chapter 4. The shift from hatred to obsession. At first, the demon came with hatred. It was assigned to break you, to dismantle you piece by piece, to drain your energy, confuse your mind, sabotage your future. It studied your wounds, your traumas, your fears. It thought it had the blueprint to destroy you. But the closer it got, the more confused it became, because you weren't reacting like the others. You weren't falling apart like it expected. The fear tactics didn't work. The emotional manipulation bounced off your shield like it hit something ancient, divine, and that's when it shifted. What began as an attack turned into fascination. You became a mystery it couldn't decode. Your spiritual frequency was too high, too refined, too clean. You should have folded, but you rose. You should have been bitter, but you forgave. You should have lost your mind, but you found peace. Instead of shrinking, you expanded. Instead of cursing the darkness, you lit a fire in it. Your aura wasn't just powerful, it was magnetic, not in the physical sense, but in the spiritual realm. There was something about your presence, your vibration, your essence that disrupted its understanding of power. The demon couldn't comprehend how you kept surviving, how you kept loving, how you kept glowing in environments meant to dim you. It came to destroy but found itself drawn in, because what it came to end, it started to admire. That admiration twisted into something deeper, something darker. It began to want what you had, not your status, not your possessions, but your spirit, your steadiness, your peace, your light, your connection with God. It didn't just envy your joy, it craved it. It didn't just notice your stability, it became obsessed with the source of it. You weren't just a target anymore. You were a paradox it couldn't shake. This wasn't love in any earthly or romantic sense. No, this was spiritual fixation. It was like watching the one thing it could never possess, never corrupt, never control. And that frustrated it. Your soul was off limits, sealed, protected, covered. The more it tried to infiltrate, the more it realized your spirit was anchored, and that anchor wasn't built in this realm. So the hatred turned to obsession. The weapon turned into a witness. The demon found itself bound by curiosity. How could someone go through that much pain and still sing? How could someone be so rejected and still stand in love? How could someone walk through fire and come out glowing? It didn't understand that it wasn't just you. It was the anointing on your life. It was the divine presence backing you. It was the authority you carried. not just in this world, but in the unseen. And so what started as a mission to break you ended in failure, because the darkness didn't just miss its mark. It got exposed, undone, and even enchanted by the light it couldn't comprehend. You changed the atmosphere. You made your enemies stare in awe. You didn't just survive the attack, you converted it into revelation. Your light turned hatred into obsession, and now the ones who tried to end you can't stop watching you rise. Chapter 5. Why the enemy can't touch you anymore. There's a reason the attacks feel different now. You've noticed it. The air is clearer. The chaos doesn't swirl around you like it used to. The demon that once hunted you no longer has permission to touch you. It watches from a distance now, frustrated, confused, powerless, because you didn't just survive the fire, you mastered it. You learned to walk in it. You learned to praise in the storm. You found peace in the middle of chaos. And that was the turning point. That's what broke its grip on you. You've stepped into spiritual authority. Now you're no longer reacting. You're discerning. You're no longer begging for peace. You carry it. You don't shrink in the face of warfare. You confront it with wisdom. You don't get lured into every conflict, every drama, every distraction. Why? Because you know who you are now. You've seen too much, you've been through too much, and you understand that not every battle requires your attention. Some battles are won by simply standing in your light. You're not the prey anymore, you're the power. The spiritual realm took notice when you stopped operating in fear. Heaven took notice when you chose faith over vengeance. Hell took notice when you refused to collapse. You've confused the spiritual world simply by surviving. By showing up every day with purpose in your heart and light in your eyes. You broke the pattern, you destroyed the algorithm, you became unreachable by the usual tactics. And that survival, it didn't just protect you, it elevated you, it changed your rank. Yes, there are spiritual ranks. Just like in the physical world, there are levels of authority in the unseen. And when you passed through fire, betrayal, abandonment, confusion, loss, and still chose truth over bitterness, purpose over pity, light over shadow, you were promoted, not by man, but by the Spirit. You were crowned with discernment, wrapped in protection, and sealed with a presence that darkness can't counterfeit. Even the dark forces now recognize your rank. They may not respect your humanity, but they respect your mantle. That's why you don't feel the same warfare anymore. Not because it disappeared, but because it knows better now. It knows your name. It knows your spirit is reinforced. It knows the angels surrounding you aren't playing. You've been marked, set apart, and the cost of touching you again is too high. You don't have to flinch at shadows anymore. You don't have to walk on spiritual eggshells. You've already been through the worst and survived. That kind of survival builds something unshakable in you. Chapter 6. What this means for your journey. This shift you're experiencing, it's not just protection, it's elevation. You've crossed into a new realm of your spiritual journey. This is no longer about survival. This isn't about proving your worth, explaining your calling, or defending your identity. That stage is over. You've already passed the test. You've already been through the fire, the silence, the misunderstandings, and the betrayal. You didn't just survive, you transcended. And now you're walking in a level of grace that only the refined understand. This isn't just peace. This is divine positioning. You've been established, rooted. You're no longer walking to be seen. You're walking because you're sent. You no longer fight for validation. You carry confirmation from the Spirit. The demon that once came to destroy you, that fell in love with your light, now serves as proof that even darkness must bow when faced with divine purpose. That's what this means for your journey. You are no longer in preparation mode. You're in activation. You'll see it around you. The evidence is already unfolding. Former enemies have gone quiet, not because they changed, but because they can't reach you anymore. Their weapons don't work. Their influence can't pierce your shield. They've been spiritually silenced. The people who once slandered you, doubted you, mocked your growth, They're now observing from a distance, trying to understand how you're still standing, still glowing, still moving with peace and power. And those same energies that used to attack you, now they try to mimic you. Don't be fooled. This isn't flattery. It's not admiration. It's spiritual evidence. Your transformation has made such a mark that even darkness has started to imitate the light. That's how powerful your breakthrough has been. That's how impactful your healing is. You've become a mirror reflecting what others deeply desire but don't yet understand. You're walking proof that heaven covers its own. You're a living testimony that no weapon formed can prosper, that isolation builds revelation, that the pit was part of the path, that rejection was divine redirection. This shift is confirmation that you're in your appointed season. It's why the doors are opening differently. It's why favor follows you into rooms you never asked to enter. It's why you feel peace in places where you used to feel pressure. You've been recalibrated, and your steps are being orchestrated by a higher wisdom. This is your harvest season, not just of blessings, but of clarity, not just of opportunities, but of spiritual recognition. You were hidden for a reason, but now you're being revealed for a purpose. So walk boldly, move with intention, speak with authority. This journey is no longer about becoming. It's about being the version of you that darkness feared, heaven prepared, and the world desperately needs. Chapter 7. Don't engage. Just keep elevating. Now that you know the truth, don't go back. Don't descend into battles that no longer require your presence. Don't reopen doors that God Himself has shut. Don't revisit pain just to prove a point. That war has already been won. That demon has already been disarmed. That storm already passed. And you didn't just survive it, you outgrew it. There's no wisdom in arguing with what's already beneath you. The most dangerous trap now isn't the enemy's strength. It's your own curiosity to entertain weakness. And make no mistake, distraction is a trap. The enemy knows it can't take your light, so it tries to make you dim it voluntarily. It wants you to be drawn back into old fights, old feelings, old mindsets, but not because those places hold power, because they no longer do. They only hold familiarity. And familiarity is seductive when you're tired of standing alone. But you weren't called to familiarity. You are called to freedom. And freedom demands that you rise, even when it's lonely, that you ascend, even when others misunderstand it, that you detach, not out of coldness, but out of clarity. Don't fight what's already been defeated, because here's the truth. The darkness you used to battle with is now beneath your spiritual authority. The demon that once targeted your mind now fears your stillness. The chaos that once controlled your emotions now trembles at your peace. You are not who you were during the last war. You have rank now. You have resonance. You are a spiritual force walking in divine timing. So when old energies try to resurface, don't take the bait. Don't go into explaining mode. Don't try to make the misunderstood understand. That's not your calling anymore. Your silence is louder than any defense you could give. Your glow is louder than any argument. And your presence is more powerful than any apology you'll never receive. Don't feed the obsession of darkness. Don't water old roots that you've already outgrown. The tree is bearing fruit now. Don't dig up the soil just to entertain the weeds. You were once buried, but now you've broken through. You don't owe the dirt anything. Let the past talk. Let the watchers watch. Let the imitators imitate. None of it can stop what's growing in you now. Yes, the demon fell in love with your glow, but that doesn't mean you turn around and acknowledge it. It doesn't deserve your words. It doesn't deserve your attention. It's not love. It's obsession.